Nikki, get some.
Because I'm not just standing here. I'm not just standing here because I'm the chair of the Democratic Party. And I'm not just supporting the president because he agrees with all of our values and stands up for it. I'm also not here because the president, the first president ever in American history during a State of the Union address, talked about cannabis. That's not the reason why I am standing here. Able to watch this man and walk into a room of families who just lost their loved ones during Surfside. And I watched him and our First Lady walk from table to table, talking to every single person in that room and not leaving their sight until they got everything out of him. Because that is the type of man that he is. He has heart, he has empathy, and he truly cares about the people of this nation. And in 2020, when I was Commissioner of Agriculture, we were losing one of our senior science officers from cancer. And Mr. President called her and had an incredible conversation. And the first thing out of his mouth when I got a chance to see him with Ms. Joyner a couple years ago, first thing out of his mouth, how's our friend? Because that's who Joe Biden is. He leads with his heart, he leads with compassion. And so, Mr. President, I am honored that you are back here in the state of Florida, and we are going to take back the state, and I know that you're in the trenches with us. So thank you.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Everyone, Senator Chevron Jones here at the Biden-Harris Presidential Debate Watch Party at the Night Hour Drive-In Theater right here in the heart of downtown Miami. I'm inviting you right now to join us at 9 p.m. tonight to watch the first presidential debate with Florida Democrats all across our great city. This is going to be the hardest fought election of our lives, and the work starts now. So come out, join us, and let's watch the debate together on the big screen.
Split screen is killing Biden because he's got his mouth open. He looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are going to be played 1 billion times in viral video after viral video. This is an epic disaster. I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that. This thing is over. I'll guarantee you this. I would bet show me a Democratic politician and I will bet them any amount of money that Joe Biden's going to lose this election if he's the candidate. It's a guaranteed loss. You're telling me this is the most important election of our lifetimes? You're telling me that democracy's on the line and you're going to put on a guy who can't even talk, who can't even sit there and look normal. This thing's a bloodbath. He's going to get annihilated. That is, okay, now the Democrats have to decide. Are they happy to lose? Are they willing to lose? Because this is a guaranteed loss.
This is so much worse than my worst nightmares of what it could be like in every way. The visual stuff is obvious. The staring off, the looking down, it looks terrible. His voice is so utterly weak and feeble. And honestly, like that immediately hits you when you see him. But what he says and what he doesn't say on the most important core issues of the election are even worse. Trump won on abortion in the debate. Trump comes out of the January 6th stuff looking fine. He comes out of the criminal conviction stuff looking fine. Joe Biden looks worse on democracy after that. He looks worse on criminality after that.
I mean, he is worse. First of all, I watched the debate last night after a CDF meeting. And we're at the CDF meeting, we sit down, it's over, right? I was the last speech of the night, I go there, we sit down. All I can think about, even while I'm delivering my speech, is kind of like, man, the fate of our country is resting on a what's going to be a childish debate.
Yeah.
And it was worse than even I thought, right? Like I knew, first of all, these guys are so crazy. I mean, like the Young Turks, right? Like they're being honest, right?
Yeah.
Their whole world is falling apart because they've realized that they've been fed, this is worse. This punch that they've been drinking is worse than Paul Jones' punch. Okay? This is incredible that they've been drinking this Kool-Aid for so long, and now they realize, wow, even when they have them drugged, prepared, probably on 72 hours of rest, like they prepared him the way that athletes prepare for the Super Bowl. And that's the best that they could muster.
Yeah.
No wonder he's tripping all over the place, because the guy he's in really bad shape.
Yeah.
So we're watching it, all right, and we couldn't believe, first of all, I was laughing the entire time. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that is the best way. I figured that they were going to have like an automated machine that was constantly running, recirculating his blood, oxygenizing his body, all kinds of stuff, stimulants, right. Testing. There's like a $6 million lab kind of situation in the green room where people are punching in keys and trying to keep them awake and everything, right? Like that's how it had to be.
Yeah.
Well, even with all of that, we saw a Joe Biden that could barely keep his thoughts together at any point in time. That he couldn't. He was hard as he tried, and I felt sorry for him at the end of the night. Like, man. And then his wife came out. Jill came out later.
I saw she had to help him off the stage.
She had to help him off the stage.
Yeah.
But even before that, she's like, Joe, you did a great job. And he's staring into the blank space.
Yeah. Shame on them.
Shame on them.
her for putting him up there.
Shame on them. And shame on the Democrats. Yeah. But this is what was the point. I couldn't believe. I'm still in disbelief over it. Twitter was blowing up. I mean, it was absolute. Elon Musk made $1 gajillion last night from the traffic on Twitter because of the reaction that they were receiving. And here's what really pisses me off about the situation is that the Young Turks are saying, oh, now it's over because the guy had his mouth hanging open. He's had his mouth hanging open for 2 years. Yeah, okay?
Absolutely.
And now, that's not why he's going to lose the election. The real reason that he's going to lose his election is because the guy has ruined the American economy. He's ruined our reputation across the world. He's ruined our society. He ruined Easter by making it Trans Day on Easter.
Yeah.
Right?
Christmas too.
On Christmas, he did the same thing. These are the reasons that he's going to lose the election. This was just an excuse for Democrats to abandon him.
Yeah.
So Americans have already. If let me tell you this: if the economy was banging, if he had not been an absolute crazy imbecile making Easter Trans Day in public, just ruining his relationship with Christians throughout the United States. And he could drool on himself all night, but we would still vote for him. Democrats would still vote for him, right? If everybody was happy, if we were all safe, if our cities weren't burning down, if China wasn't coming here buying our farmland, then Americans would still be voting for him.
Yeah.
So he ruined it, not because he's 90,000 years old, not because the guy's a fossil. He ruined it because he ruined our country. That's what ruined his chances to win re-election.
I just love it that the liberals are freaking out. They don't know what to do. There are calls now for
a replacement.
Liberal Democrats to go to Congress, to go to the White House, to demand he step aside. and someone else to jump in there. Now, this has been predicted. We've talked about this on the show.
We predicted this
people
already.
have predicted that he will be replaced come the convention. And,
we've been talking about it.
To see.
This morning, I sent my good friend, a friend of mine who's running for Congress in District 9, Jose Castillo, right? Bunch of good people running right now. Bunch of great conservatives are running for office right now. He's just one of them, right? There's more than one in that seat. Anyways, Jose was telling me, man, he's giving me some feedback on the debate last night. And I was like, the one thing, and somebody else had this conversation with me, I bet you this is an opportunity for RFK to get in. Yeah. Right? Because that's the only legitimate. It doesn't matter what Democrat you put in, then none of them have none. There's not a Democrat that wants to get into that seat. Nobody's going to take that position because they all know that they're going to automatically lose. So RFK is the only hope that the Dems have. Number one, because he's the only guy that will take the seat. He's the only guy that will take that empty seat that Joe Biden has been kind of pseudo-occupying, and he'll run. But all the other, like Gavin Newsom, does he want to be president? Of course he wants to be president.
Governor hairdo.
Yeah, but he's not going to lose an election, and he knows that this is a losing election.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to. Either they go with RFK or they lose the election, and they don't like RFK because RFK is not as corrupt. He's an imbecile too, because he's a crazy leftist. But at the same time, he's not as dirty as the other guys. No. Right? He's crazy, but he's not as dirty. And so, what an amazing event. And to be able to, this is like Haley's Comet. Things like this happen like in once in a generation type of thing, twice in a generation, where it's just so much craziness, and we're here to witness it. And I pray that our country's going to wake up from the situation that we got going on, and Americans are just going to start acting like Americans again.
I'm wondering, John, if the Florida Squeeze was crying over the debate last night.
I'm sure that they were.
They were having a meltdown.
Here they are. Hey, Florida Squeeze, you go ahead and retweet us out again and complain about how we're... I wonder if you guys are melting down.
Did you have a meltdown over the debate?
Yeah, of course they were melting down. They were, previously they when we were saying that the Florida GOP, I sound like Biden. They were saying that because the Democrats fielded 120 legislative seats that we were melting down. No, we just have high expectations of the Republican Party.
That's right.
So I mean, do a better job for us. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that Democrats don't want to do a good job. They just want to be praised. So good luck with that. It's Biden as your leader, and NIkki Fried. My God, we're going to talk about NIkki Fried tonight. Listen, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We have a great show. We're all hopped up on the, not on the same drugs that Biden was on last night. We're all hopped up on the excitement of coming off of this tremendous victory by Donald Trump in the debate last night. What an entertaining show it was. It was really entertaining.
See, I thought it was going to be not entertaining because they didn't have an audience. It was, they were muting mics and doing things like that, but it did turn out to be a great win for President Trump.
It really was. It really was. Before we get to we're so far into the show already. I don't know how many minutes into the show we are, but let's say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right into the show. We got a whole bunch of great stuff to talk about. We'll carry on with the debate and so on. Lord, thank you so much. Thank you so much for every day. Every day is a blessing, whether we get our way or not. But this particular day is a great day because we think many Americans have been awakened. Right? They're now turning on to the reality of our world. We need to save our country. We need to save our community. We need to save our children. We can no longer tolerate people victimizing our families. The American family has to come first, and the American family has to be dedicated to you and your service. And when we do that, we know that our country will be great. And there's clearly only one person who has that mindset, and that's Trump. So bless him last night, give him a victory, let him sleep well for a day, and then let him get right back to work. Lord, also protect Biden. My God, poor man is clearly in horrendous health, and he's clearly being victimized himself by his own family and his party and everyone. And we don't wish ill on anyone. So we pray for this United States to come together in unity under a new president in January, and we pray that our country comes back to a place of normalcy, Lord, a place where we can all celebrate being an American and having our faith and having our freedoms and understanding that those freedoms come from you and you alone. In your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Lord, Oh my God, Lord! This debate, it's been all consuming for me. There's going to be another one.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no way.
You know, Biden came out today, and the White House said that he is not stepping aside. He's going to go ahead. He's moving
There's
forward.
No way.
And that he's looking forward and he's going to prep for the debate in September.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that's true.
There's no way.
Like
there's
I
no
said,
way.
there's talk at the convention they're going to try and replace him. So and we've heard that rumor for a while.
I can't. There's no way. I can't believe that they would allow him to go to another debate to be absolutely just. This is like watching a fight between Mike Tyson and a 13-year-old figure skater. I mean, it's absolutely brutal. And Trump had the greatest night of his entire political career. He allowed Biden to walk into his own just minefields, right, of time. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of criticism that he took last time was that, man, just let Biden talk, he's going to screw himself.
They tried to set this debate up for Biden, so it would work in his favor.
Yes.
And it backfired tremendously.
Well, I don't think it backfired because I think it's true. It just truly demonstrated how bad he is because if there had been a live audience, right, it would have been even worse for Biden.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that they did the right thing. They were like, okay, no audience, because if an audience would have completely taken him out of the... He would have been, like, looking at butterflies, like my 10-year-old son when he was playing goalie and he was looking at butterflies and, you know, instead of the goals coming at him, you know, that's what Biden would have been, because that's what happens, right? You lose focus. And he would have lost focus. I mean, it was just... it was horrendous. What a betrayal of a man, their leader supposedly, right? And I'll tell you, the biggest line. There were so many great lines of the night. Before we move on to something else, but so many great lines. But I'll tell you one thing. Oh, let me. I want to read. If I can. I'm gonna read some of these tweets here that we got. Because one of the hilarious things was that he said that he had a 6 handicap in golf. Every golfer in the entire world now knows what a liar Joe Biden is. If he's got a handicap... Now listen, I tweeted this. I believe that he's handicapped. No. I believe that he's got a handicap placard in his car. But there's no way in hell that he's got a 6 handicap in golf. There's no way. There's no way. Okay, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. So what an incredible... but these tweets have just been absolutely hilarious. If you're not following us on X, go and follow us on X, please. I'm John Unsanctioned, JON Sanctioned, SANCTIONED. You'll see all the funny content. My Twitter has grown like 50. Huh?
Right there.
Uh-oh, what happened?
No. I'm pointing.
Oh, there you are. You're pointing at it. All right. There it is, right here. There you go. So, anyways, go follow on Twitter and let's talk about this stuff in the next debate. We were gonna stream it last night. We probably should have. It was so good that we should have. But anyway, so okay, let's move on to the next thing.
I'll talk about the
debate
of Florida.
Yeah, let's do it.
And from there we'll go. All right, never mind. All right, so we're going to stay on this debate topic for a second here, John, because last night even Governor DeSantis himself weighed in on this debate. He said it was the unofficial end of the Biden campaign, and he praised President Trump's performance. Here he is. He was on Sean Hannity.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Governor, great to have you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Sean, I think I witnessed the unofficial end of the Biden campaign. And it will either officially end at the DNC this summer when they replace him, or it will end this summer, or it will end in November when he suffers a resounding defeat to Donald Trump. The reality is you cannot watch that performance and say that he could serve another 4-year term. I don't think he could even get through another 7 months, and I think this country's in very serious trouble with him at the helm, given the weakness that he's projecting there. And I think about it this way. You know, Sean, you and I are conservative. We obviously want to go conservative. There's a lot of voters that are maybe in the middle, but this is something that will matter them. And I think about it, if he were applying to run like an agency in the state of Florida, your home state, there is no way in a million years I would hire him to run even a middling agency. in the state of Florida. There is no way the American people are going to sign him up for another 4 years as commander-in-chief. And I think that this was the most lopsided debate performance that I've ever seen. You know, one of the things I think Donald Trump did a good job of is always coming back to Biden's main weaknesses, especially the border. It really didn't matter what issue was. He would talk about what Biden's done at the border. Biden had no answer for that. In fact, Biden at one point was even acknowledging that women were being raped by illegal aliens under his watch. So it was a disaster for Biden. I think that they're going to definitely try to do something this summer. But if they don't, there is no way the American people are going to give him another 4 years.
And that's the truth. I mean, you know, President Trump put out an ad today, and we're gonna play it on the America show. And you saw it, right?
I've seen it. It was, oh man, it's brutal.
He said, you know, that Biden's not going to make it another 4 years. And you know who's waiting?
He wouldn't have made it another 30 minutes.
It's Kamala Harris. You know, that's who's waiting.
No, I don't think it is Kamala Harris.
If Biden gets elected again, he won't make it through the 4 years, and then we'll get Kamala Harris.
Yeah. I don't think
the cackling hyena.
I don't think that the cackling hyena makes it to the. Here's the thing: there's no chance. They're both ruined. They've basically the fraud over the American people. There's like this blanket of fraud, and it got ripped off, and everybody's looking at what's underneath the blanket, and it's not a pretty picture. It's a guy who's basically on his deathbed, literally. I mean, this is somebody who's clearly ailing physically. There and with all the president of the United States, the healthcare team of the president of the United States can't even keep him upright. So this is a disaster for Democrats. I think it's going to be disastrous for their nationwide elections, because now even Democrats have to be pissed that they've been sold a terrible, terrible bill of goods. This is just the worst kind of just deceitful behavior by a political party. It's like them. It's like Kim Jong-il. Yeah. You know, I mean, this is what this is. It's really bad. It's really bad. Yeah. And you know, I'll tell you what. I think that we saw in the media. First of all, let me say this about CNN too. CNN actually did a good debate. Yeah. Right? I couldn't it was like a 5% bias maybe, but that's nothing. That's nothing compared to the last election cycle, right? And I'm pretty sure now that all these Democrats are being honest about what's going on in the media now, that Biden is basically done, because nobody wants to go to jail over being straight up liars, right? That's what they're afraid of, is that they're going to lose their butts in this election, and now they're all going to be exposed as people who have been deceived. And I'll tell you what, the American people are out for their redemption. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
You know, it's sad that the White House is coming out and calling these videos where we've seen the president
as deep
falling down, tripping over stairs, tripping over his own 2 feet, and calling it a cheap fake. But you can watch that debate from last night. You can see it for yourself. That was live. I mean, he's just not well. And if you spend any time with a man or a woman or an older person who has dementia, who is really up there in age, is starting to reach their twilight of their lives, you know what that looks like, and you see it right there with President Biden. So,
well, I mean, like, I think that the Governor DeSantis said it best, right? Like, I wouldn't hire this guy to do a small agency, much less for President of the United States.
And it's not just us that see it. It's other world leaders. It's throughout the world. So, time for change, and it's time for President Trump.
Incredible.
All right. So, moving on. Anna Paulina Luna, she's staying in the news, John. She is proposing a DNA testing to stop child trafficking at the southern border, and she's just amazing. She's getting a lot done. This right here, on Friday, she will debut 2 bills, one of which she said is intended to protect migrant children from being trafficked into the country under the pretense of being part of a family. Sometimes just a cover for the child to be put into forced labor in the United States.
Wow.
There's an unsettling trafficking ring in our country where children are being sold for sex and cheap labor after being brought into our country by coyotes claiming to be their family relatives, Luna said in a statement to the Washington Examiner. the first piece of legislation, the Family Reunification Act, would require all families apprehended at the U.S.-Mexico border to undergo rapid DNA tests while in custody to ensure the child and parent are related. This type of speedy DNA testing was done during the Trump administration, but of course, President Joe Biden halted the measure early on in his administration. The second piece of legislation, the Legal Labor Accountability Act, would triple the penalties on employers who hire illegal immigrants, particularly children who are trafficked into the country and forced to work. So, great work there.
Yeah, great. She's one of the good ones. She really is. She's like you were saying. She's like a total package. She's super smart. She's very fierce. She's a huge advocate for her community and for her district. You know, she's up there fighting. She's young, so she's got longevity. You know, she really is. This is a good legislator right here, and she's got good ideas. She's fighting issues that are important, not just to a party.
Strong. I mean,
yeah. She's standing under, against withering fire from the Dems. They don't like her, but she's doing a whole bunch of good things. I really have a ton of appreciation for her as well, and I hope this passes. Who's going to vote no? Who would vote no to do this and to prevent children from entering a life of slavery? Yeah. Right? I mean, the Democrats talk about all this nonsense about social justice and so on, but when it gets down to the actual nuts and bolts of human trafficking today, which is modern day slavery, they never want to fix that problem. And the problem is that all the cabal of D.C. and the horrendous sphere of influence that they all, slosh in is, it's part of it. They've been partakers of it. And she's out there and she's kicking butt, and I hope she does this. And at the very least, it stops it at the border, and hopefully we can make a movement.
Yeah, Democrats, if you vote against this, you show where you stand on child trafficking. Yeah. So there you go. Over in St. Lucie County, John, former St. Lucie County Sheriff has admitted involvement in a ghost candidate campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you might remember this guy, or at least his name. His name is Ken Mascara. And the admission came in a document filed Thursday with the Florida Commission on Ethics. The filing said Mascara admitted that he approached and encouraged an individual to seek the sheriff's office in the 2020 election, a violation of the Code of Ethics. Mascara is accused of misusing his authority or his position as sheriff to recruit a fake candidate to run against his primary opponent and have his subordinates run the campaign.
That's bad.
When the straw candidate won the primary, the plan was that he would concede to Mascara to win the election.
So did he cede in the end?
The filing shows that Mascara admitted to violating the Code of Ethics and made the admission to avoid the costs of litigation and protracted legal proceedings. He and his attorney also asked the commission to approve recommending a penalty of public censure and reprimand of $5,000 fine.
I mean, a $5,000 fine. Okay. I mean, I don't know. They make a lot of money. Sheriff can make $200,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that $5,000.
Usually, the most important elected official.
It's one of the most
in the county.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. It's one of the big ones.
So glad they busted him. I'd like to see them make some moves on what happened here in the last election in 2022.
This is the part that pisses me off about this too. I mean, there's a lot to be pissed off about in politics, but they arrested a guy who was a ghost candidate, right, an alleged ghost candidate, but they didn't arrest him for being a ghost candidate. They arrested him for making errors on his, right, maybe intentional errors on his report.
Yeah.
And so they gave him 6 months. They put him in jail for something that was dumb, right? But you're going to put him in jail, but you're not going to go after the people that set him up for it? So what is the point then? I mean, nobody wants to see some guy who's beyond middle-aged go to jail because of the financial report. What you want to see is people go to jail who are trying to manipulate the elections. That's the justice we deserve.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're going to put somebody in jail, don't let it be something dumb like that. Go get these guys over here who are trying to manipulate elections. They give this guy a $5,000 fine. They put this other guy in jail. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Look at it as the drug pusher on the street, versus the guy who's actually supplying the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or the mule. You're gonna put the mule in jail for 40 years, but the guy who paid the mule to carry the drugs across the state, you let him go.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is good. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, let's see some movement on things that happen here in Osceola County. So anyway, down in Key West, John.
Oh, brother. Key West.
They have a library that is going to have Drag Queen Story Hour. And this drag queen is going to read "The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish." Here's a video on this. It's unbelievable.
This is a
Pride Month story time for children.
Sorry, you can say it. Just go ahead and say it.
Change it. I was gonna say I was gonna talk over the video. But
all right.
This is Pride Month story time for children. Will feature a book called "The Hips on the Drag Queen Go Swish, Swish, Swish." It's written by an author who goes by the name of Lil Miss Hot Mess. This author is a drag queen who is a founding member of Drag Queen Story Hour. The event is from 11 to 12 p.m. According to the library, storytime is typically for children ages 0 to 6 years old.
The mouth on the drag queen goes,
oh my God.
Blah, 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 blah.
That's Lil Hot Mess in a YouTube video as the performer is acting out and reading the book to children. The drag queen explains how they like to dress up, sing, dance, and explains how they are good role models who stand up for what they believe and how some have even run for president.
I wrote this book because I wanted everyone to get to experience the magic of drag and to get a little practice shaking their hips or shimmying their shoulders to know how we can feel fabulous inside of our own bodies.
The book follows the tune of the wheels on the bus and encourages children to dance along. Amazon's description says that it encourages readers to boldly be exactly who they are and offers a quirky twist on a classic nursery rhyme by illustrating all of the ways to work it.
We're gonna start with our hips and we're gonna swish them. We're gonna go the hips on the drag queen, go swish, swish, swish. Just gonna swish them from side to side. Swish, swish, swish.
Lil Miss Hot Mess describes the first illustrations of the book, showing children how one side is colorful and bright with pictures of drag queens, and the other side is boring and gray with one man in the picture. The names of the drag queen characters in the book are Frida B. Me, Jacqueline Jill, Stinkerbell, Rita Book, Mother Lucy Goosey, Cinderfella, Peanut Butter Jelly, Rosie Ringarounda, and Elemento Pee-Pee.
And if some of those names sound a little bit silly to you, you are totally right. Drag queens, we often like to have funny sounding names because we like to add a little humor whenever we can and show that sometimes we don't have to take everything so seriously.
Disgusting.
Although drag can be a very serious art form as well.
The video ends with the drag queen applauding the child viewers who may be dancing along while singing to the tune of Wheels on the Bus.
It's absolutely disgusting. Here's what makes this so disturbing.
What's wrong with just putting on white face paint, putting on a nose, and wearing big giant shoes? I mean, why does it have to be this?
This is not about being a clown. This is mental illness, right?
Yeah.
And you can see, because this is the makeup, everything is like they're pretending to be a woman in the worst kind of way. Like, this is like, if that were what a woman looked like,
the worst
it would be a horror story.
A
yeah, it would be a horror story. So they're basically doubling down on a horror story. And to kids, why? Nobody would care. I don't care. You want to look like a crazy woman and you want to do it in some place. I don't even care if you're doing it in outside or wherever you are. The minute you target kids, all of a sudden now you basically rise the instinct, the protective instincts of men who are not crazy, who have a yearn to protect their families and their communities, right? And any real man would have that instinct. And I know it brings it out in me. Like, I see somebody preying on kids, it piques my interest, and all of a sudden I want to go and protect my family at least. And God forbid, this is a very ugly thing that's happening in our society. Who knows why? Why kids? Why attack the kids? I don't understand how we're even entertaining these conversations.
I mean, this is clearly targeting children. You can see it. They wrote a children's book, all right, and then singing the song to a classic nursery rhyme, and showing that it's colorful and fun to be a drag queen, and on the other page where you're just a normal person, it's gray and dull. I mean, come on.
Absolutely horrendous.
Come on, this is pushing an agenda, clearly. All right, so also pushing an agenda are the Florida Democrats, John. They are, well, anyway, there's him. But they put a massive inflatable IUD in Orlando, and they claim that the GOP will block contraception and IVF. And if you recognize this character in the picture right there.
He probably has an IUD inserted.
That is.
I don't know where, but I'm just pretty sure that him and Carlos Guillermo Smith got one of those things inserted. So listen, this is the crazy thing about this. This is why you don't hire kids to do adult jobs.
Yep.
This is why you don't hire a child to do a man's job or a woman's job, because they do childish things like this. They have look. They're still infatuated with balloons, apparently.
Yeah.
So this is just dumb. There's nothing in it. It's just dumb. There's nothing intelligent or articulate or exceptional about this. This is the worst things about politics. You thought that politics was ugly while people were maybe yelling at each other, calling each other names? This is worse.
Yeah.
This is worse. So it doesn't matter how they act when they're acting normal for a moment. When you start putting these big phallic shapes and medical procedures and whatever, doing all this stuff, this is grotesque and childish, and that's not a good mix of things for the public. And they put it where? Right in downtown Orlando for everybody to see, and then they try to make a joke about it. But the joke is on them. Yeah. And they lose respect, and they don't look like any serious person. And this kid here, this child congressman, is not a serious person.
No, he's not.
He's never been a serious person.
Never forget
never had a job.
That he brought Black Lives Matter to St. Cloud.
He's just this kid is a joke. This kid is a joke in him of itself. And you know what? I would have not hired myself when I was his age either. I don't know, what is he, 19 or 20 or something like that. But when I was 19 or 20, I wouldn't have hired myself to be a congressman either. And this kid just clearly doesn't know what he's doing, and he's being manipulated. Just like they're abusing Joe Biden by having Joe Biden do everything that Joe Biden is doing, they're also abusing this kid by using his stupidity and youth, which is what this is, to push an agenda that they're too ashamed to do themselves. Yeah. Except for other people who are even more crazy, like AOC and Alan Grayson or Kristen Harrington.
Yeah.
I heard all this talk about, I don't know if they can hear us. Are we silent? We're good, whatever. But I heard all this talk about Kristen Harrington is almost normal, so she's not. We got the receipts on this. Yeah. Kristen Harrington loves genital mutilation for children. Okay, she loves this chemical castration of children. That's what Kristen Harrington is all about. We already know that Grayson's all crazy, right? And the one most to the left. The one most to the left is Carmen Torres in that Senate seat. Yeah. Okay, so
she's already been endorsed by Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Yeah, of course. And why would that be? Yeah. Why would that be? So I mean, these are not normal people.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, John. So before we get into Osceola County, we have this important message from Jim Trotz.
Honor, courage, commitment. These are the set of strong values and principles that has guided Jim Trott's life. It's that sense of dignity and integrity, always striving to do what is right and ethical in any situation, that Jim wants to bring to our elections. The last couple of elections have brought about many questions about integrity, fairness, and honesty. Jim feels you should never have to question the integrity, fairness, or honesty of the election, and you should be confident that your vote has been counted and the results are fair and honest. That's because
we're talking about election integrity. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or you're Democrat or you're a liberal or you're a conservative. The process needs to be fair for everybody.
This message is paid for and approved by Jim Trotz, candidate for Osceola County Supervisor of Elections.
Come on, guys.
Jim is such a great guy. He's such a great candidate. I support him not because he's a Republican or a conservative or a Democrat or a liberal or anything like that. Jim is a guy with integrity. And
Yes,
I'll say this.
he is.
It's not easy to get to his rank in the Navy because it's very difficult. It's not like the Army. In the Army, you have such a great opportunity for growth and advancement. You can get to E9. He got to E9, which is the highest level of the enlisted ranks for those of you who've never served. E9 is the top. It's the toppity top. And then he went beyond that 2 ranks in the officer corps as a warrant officer, and he went to W2. So he's like the cream of the crop, and I have so much respect for him for his achievements. That was just in service to the nation. That tells you what kind of character and integrity this guy has. That means you don't make enemies unnecessarily. It means that you're intelligent, that your capacity is superior. It says everything about you. And so just on paper, he checks all the great boxes. And then on top of that, he's a man of character. If you meet him, you talk to Jim, he's such a man. I'm a fan myself of his character, not just his candidacy. Yeah. And I appreciate that. He's a mature guy. He's an honest guy. He has so much integrity. And when he becomes that supervisor of elections, I think that the entire county is going to feel so good about having someone there who you can trust to oversee the elections from a ministerial standpoint, that everybody can have trust in that process again. Because right now we question it, right? Mary Jane violated state statute twice, 2 election cycles in a row. Her kids are all on the ballot. Her daughter-in-law, her son. She names a building after her son. She's just rotten. Yeah. And that's not what we want for the supervisor of elections. We really want, that's supposed to be the point of integrity. No. And Jim is that guy.
We absolutely need change at that supervisor of elections office. Do. So please, don't just vote for Jim. Tell 10 friends to vote for Jim because we need him in there. We really do. All right, John. So starting off Osceola County, this purchase of the abandoned Kmart in Kissimmee is going to be transformed into the NOVI district. NOVI meaning north of Vine. And it's supposed to add housing, retail, and restaurants. But we talked about this on the show before. But here's a video explaining
Novi.
Yeah.
Old Kmart that's been sitting vacant since 2017 could be the start of something big in Kissimmee's Novi district, or north of Vine district. As West 2's Megan Mulatto tells us, the city plans on replacing some big box stores with new homes, retail space, and restaurants.
Officials with Kissimmee's Community Redevelopment Agency say they're planning on transforming 22 acres of property, including this building behind me that used to be a Kmart, the big lots right next door, and a lot of the parking space that stretches all the way out to Vine Street.
It's actually 4 properties in total. 3 of those parcels make up the Kmart site itself.
Economic Development Director Tom Tomerlin says the city manager was given the go-ahead to write up a contract to buy the properties Tuesday. Their offer, $14 million. Once market conditions improve, they'll resell to a developer who aligns with their vision of less big box stores and more mixed-use development.
This would basically create kind of that lifestyle center, if you will, for that entire district or neighborhood.
You'll see maybe some entertainment, some indoor recreation, dining, and retail.
CRA manager Samaya Singleton says the change would make use of extra space in just about the center of the city, where the infrastructure, water and sewer, is already in place.
This has been a project that is almost 10 years in the making. If we're going to make this happen, we need to step in now and make it happen, because it's now or it's never.
In Kissimmee, Megan Mulatto, West.
All right,
it's now or never. That's never a good way to approach it. It's now or never. You never want to hear the government say it's now or never, because that means they're not thinking about it right. No. Right? This is supposed to be a planned thing, and you make it happen if it's going to be good for the citizens. You don't say, oh, if we don't do it now, no, that's panic thinking. You plan it, you make it happen. And that doesn't matter. That's not a timing issue, right? Because the way that you run cities or counties is generational. Right? From one generation to the next, you hand over a city that is planned and without chaos. I mean, look at Osceola County, right? Yeah. For the past 20 years, they've just destroyed Osceola County. And because they're total morons. There's no other way to put it. Osceola County commissioners are complete and total morons. They absolutely you have are. Ricky Booth. Ricky Booth is on the border of like being ESE student of the year, right? An ESE student of the year because he learned how to spell his name correctly.
And Brandon Arrington is a failed actor from, who never, I don't even know that if he graduated college, but I think that he went to acting school and then he tried to be an actor in New York, and now all he does is act on the dais like a regular human being. I mean, these guys this is a clown show. The city's so much better. The city is so much better, and I like this idea. And I would have liked the idea of Neo City, but when you involve nothing but clowns, you get a clown show. And they've turned Neo City into a clown show, a $400 million clown show.
I would like this deal better if I didn't know who was the realtor on this deal.
That's a great point. So you have a county commissioner, right, who's the realtor here, Cheryl Greed, as they call her, right? Cheryl Greed, and she is the realtor on this. Now and then they buy it.
We have a broker too. Right? Oh, who's the broker on this deal?
I thought she was.
No.
No. They're both on it together, but it's her company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're both on this deal. And what does this do? It creates money for their elections, and then what happens? The city buys it, so they get their money now. No. I mean, come on. I don't like that. Trust me. I don't like the timing. I think that the timing is happening specifically because they need that money. Those two candidates need the money for their elections, and that's what I suspect. I don't know for sure, but I suspect that because otherwise, why is it that all the elected officials are the most the elected officials and the friends of elected officials are the most successful realtors in the entire county?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Like Tim Weishire, right? When he was a school board member, he went from like a regular guy to like all of a sudden he's the world's greatest realtor in District 3. What a coincidence, right? And then you have like this, like Cheryl Greed. Now she owns the half of the city. Yeah. I mean, come on, what's going on here? So it's just like all of a sudden if you're an engineer like Brandon's dad, all of a sudden now you're a successful engineer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it has to stop.
Yeah, definitely does. All right, so the Board of County Commissioners was celebrating, John, the opening of Innovation Way, and it's kind of funny, but this is them out there celebrating, doing the ribbon cutting for a road, and they celebrated yet another important milestone in the development of its 500-acre Neo City Technology Campus with the ribbon cutting of the new southern gateway to the complex, Innovation Way. Cheryl Grebe was joined by a host of, quote, dignitaries to cut the ribbon on Innovation Way, a new 2-lane divided roadway that will serve as the southern portal to Neo City, Osceola County's #1 economic development priority. The road will officially open at 10 a.m. on Friday, June 28th, and that was today. Yeah, so it opened today, and no one drove on it. No one drove on it.
These guys are so dumb. How do you have a set of commissioners that are all together combined come up with an IQ under 100? 5 commissioners combined, IQ under 100. How the hell do you build a road that nobody drives on when you've already created such terrible traffic everywhere else that there's traffic in both directions?
Yeah.
I mean, but you build a road that nobody drives on.
Yeah.
I mean,
they celebrate it.
And then you have the gall. I'm not going to say what I really want to say.
And they put it in the paper.
You have the gall to go and write a newspaper. We build a road here. This road is in the middle of.
And I have the picture of the map.
Yeah, let's look at this. Let's look at this thing here. Let's look at it.
So here it is. And you can see it right there. Which one is it? Is it the yellow one?
Okay, so here it is. No. So yellow. This is 192. The yellow road that's going down in the I guess that middle diagonally. The yellow road. That's 192. And then you can see the road that has like 2 turns, and part of it runs parallel to 192. That's Neo City Way. Right? And so this one, the road right here that's parallel to 192. Is Neo City Way. And then there's a road that's perpendicular to 192, but it's touching Neo City Way, and it goes down to Neptune. So between Neptune and Neo City Way, that is Neovation whatever.
Yeah, Neovation Way.
Neovation Way. Okay, so that's that road that they built. So I don't think that they understand that that does not do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
Right? So what's going to happen? So I guess all the people that live in District 4, if they work there, then maybe they would have a way to get to work pretty easy. No. The problem is there's no jobs that are being created there. So all of this land, and here's why I don't like these projects that we see happening. All of this land that you see there, that's between those two parallel strips, right? The Yellow Road, which is 192, Neo City Way, which is the road that's parallel to it. There's nothing going on there. So how do these guys rip off the entire community by doing this? Because what do? They sell the land. This is how they get the money. They decide, hey, you know what? Hey, Bob, I want to build this project, so here's what we're going to do. But I'm broke. Okay? I'm broke. I don't have any money. I don't like to put my own money. I like to use the people's money to make myself rich. No. So here's what I'm going to sell this to the school district, and I want you to sell that one to the county, and then we're going to work together. We're going to sell all this stuff to the county, even though it doesn't even belong to us. And then we're going to make ourselves rich by being part of it and the administrators of it and so on. And that's what they do. So $400 million. You know why this is not successful? Because the $400 million that they wasted went into their pockets, and they're all rich because of it.
Absolutely.
That's what happened here.
Absolutely. And still, all these years, nothing there. Nothing.
Nothing.
No
they got 120-something jobs. They promised 1,000 jobs. So far, they brought 100 jobs. Okay? I mean, we should be tar and feathering these politicians.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we just get them out of office. That would be the best thing.
Yeah, that would be enough.
That would be enough. Just get them out of office. Stop voting for these people, please.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Osceola County received $640,000 from the state, John, for invasive plant removal in Lake Tahoe. And weren't two commissioners sitting in a boat talking about some of this stuff recently?
You gotta wonder, right? Look, so here's a combined 40 IQ points right here, and these two guys, these two ESE students, here's what's happening. These two guys go on this little show that Brandon has that 4 people watch, and on that show they were talking about spraying this Hydrila, getting rid of this Hydrila. Okay, I'm not sure what's more of a plant, these two guys or the plants that are in the lake. But these two idiots, they are on the boat talking about something that's going to come before them on the budget. That is a sunshine violation. I'm sure that's going to go to the ethics commission, and they should both be fined. That's not enough. These guys need to be in a prison cell together. Now, believe me, they'll be in vacation for years with one another. They can talk to each other about how great they are, right? But that's where they belong. That's where these two idiots belong.
No, absolutely. So we'll see if anything comes of that, John. I know that ethics
complaint
was filed.
Something's going to come of it. Something is going to come of it.
Not by me, not by you.
No, not by you, not by me. But you know what? Something's going to come of it, and it's just a matter of how bad is it going to be. I mean, or do they let them skate because they're seen as royalty of Osceola County? Or do they have to pay the price?
Yeah. So this next video, John, is something that every resident of Osceola County needs to see when we're talking about the Supervisor of Elections office and Jim Trotz, the candidate you need to vote for. And even more than that, you need to see what goes on behind the scenes, the truth about a lot of these endorsements that come down. They're all bull crap.
This is one of the reasons. Yep,
you're going to see this. Watch this video.
Hi, I'm Jim Trotz, candidate for Osceola County Supervisor of Elections, and we're here in front of the Supervisor of Elections office, and I'm here with my friend Willie. Last night, Willie and I both received a text. We're both realtors saying that the Supervisor of Elections would be available at our Realtor Association offices today. We thought it was a little odd that it would go out to every single realtor, given the fact that most of them typically vote anyhow, but we figured let's go there and make sure that we try to help out where we can. So we gathered up a group of people. Willie's one of those people who went out there, and we went upstairs. We had spoken to the young lady from the SOE's office and told her that we were here to help. Now, interestingly, I made my my friend Linda take off of her campaign button because we wanted to make sure that we weren't campaigning or anything else like that. I think we were probably wrong in that thought, because when we got up there, we found all sorts of campaign stuff, but it wasn't our stuff. It was Mary Jane Arrington's stuff. What do we have, Willie? We got here a bag that she's doing, Mary Jane Arrington, Supervisor of Elections. Inside, we got a whole bunch of other stuff too that's really cool. We got a pen from her. We got a brochure from her. We got a pad of paper from her. We've got a glass cleaner from her. Got all this stuff on here. You know what was not there, Willie?
Any sign.
Any sign. Okay. Anything to tell anybody about voter registration, anything directing anybody to voter registration, anything of the sort. And, oh, by the way, how many people were registered as of the time we were there?
None, zero.
None, zero. So, folks, here's what's going on. At taxpayer expense, we got all this great stuff campaigning for our Supervisor of Elections. We're using people from the Supervisor of Elections to go out to a place to register people when there was absolutely no need for it. Were they really registering people, or is this just a campaign stunt? Who knows? Here's what I will tell you. We've been registering people for over 2 years. We've been going to churches, different communities, doing different things. It's not a campaign stunt for us. You should question what's going on, and I would urge you to do so.
This message is paid for and approved by Jim Trotz, Republican candidate for Osceola County Supervisor of Elections.
The fact that, I mean, this doesn't surprise me. Okay, so let's talk about this.
It doesn't surprise me either. It really doesn't.
Okay, so the Osceola County Realtors Association, or OSCAR, right, is a great organization that helps great realtors, and we have a great real estate industry here, a healthy, vibrant real estate community. The political arm of the real estate community is that is not good, and I'll tell you why it's not good. Because it's run by one guy, and that one guy, right, one or two people, those two people that are aligned with one another. So it's basically one guy. They decide who they're going to endorse and help ahead of time based on their relationships with the establishment of Osceola.
Yeah.
And so if you go there as a candidate, let's say that 5 people are running for an office, it doesn't matter who's running. Let's say there's only 2 people running. The establishment guy that is friends with them is going to run, or related with them, is going to win their endorsement. So you can go in there, and you could. It's like Joe Biden. If Joe Biden was the establishment guy, they would endorse Joe Biden and say that he won the debate last night. Yeah. And that's what Oscar does. That it's a sham. So like I know for a fact that there's people who are running for office that were invited to go interview, and they said no, thank you. No, thank you. Why? Because it's shame. And here's what's going to happen. In the next election cycle, nobody's going to interview with them because everybody knows it's BS.
Yeah.
Right? So now they've ruined their own reputation, because now anybody who does win, and so everybody's always going to be against them. Oh, well, the realtors, waste of time because it's fake. Yeah. It's fake. You know, they already know who they're going to go. So the only thing that you accomplish by going and interviewing with the realtors in Osceola is to give them your strategy, tell them what you're thinking, tell them what you're going to do, tell them what's in your mind. And so forget it. Now it's a liability.
And then it gets repeated back to.
And it gets repeated to the other side.
Yeah, to the other side.
Right? And so they take all that information and they go dump it to the other people and forget it. There's no point to it. So listen, my advice would be, don't even bother. Don't bother to go to these interviews or the hobnob. It's the same thing with the chamber and all those people here, the local chamber. They know who they want. They're all establishment. They're all owned by the same people. And it's a whole bunch of groveling chimps that love their, that are dancing for bananas. It's not like real serious people that are trying to help our community or grow our community in an appropriate way or anything like that. So don't bother. Don't bother. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about the people who are pulling the strings and playing the organ. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that doesn't offend anybody, because it's not the real. My family's in real estate, and listen, I know I went to that real estate. So here's me personal, my race, right? Senate. I'm a candidate for Senate 25, and I went to that thing because it was supposed to be state, right? So I was interviewing with the State Realtors Association, of which the same guy is like a top dog there at the state as well. And so when I go there and I'm expecting to see people from the state, it's the local people again. Yeah. So I went in there, I was like, I almost said, you know what, no, I'm not going to do it. Sorry, guys, I didn't realize it was the local people, so I'm just going to head out because you're a waste of my time. But I didn't want to be rude, and there were ladies there, and I'm not going to be rude to to a bunch of ladies or anything. And so I knew it was a waste of my time. So I went there and I kicked butt, and I know that I did extremely well in that interview. But I also walked out knowing I'm not gonna get this endorsement. It doesn't matter how well I did. So who did they endorse? They ended up endorsing Kristen Arrington that same day. Kristen Arrington is
surprise.
Surprise. Of course they're going to endorse her because she's one of their people.
Yeah.
So the same day, Alan Grayson gets into the race. So she lost. Arrington lost the race the minute that Arrington got in, and those people at the realtors endorsed her. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a sham. Don't even bother interviewing with the Realtors Association.
Yeah, you
just a
can
waste
look
of your time.
at the last few election cycles and look at who they endorsed.
Yeah,
and it's all establishment people.
Yeah,
all the way down the line.
They didn't endorse Will Fonseca. He's a realtor.
No.
They didn't endorse me. My entire family's in real estate. Laura McAdams. They didn't endorse Laura McAdams. No. Right? She's a realtor. That's what she does. You know, I mean, so like they don't care that you're a realtor. If you're a realtor, you run for office. If you're not bending knee and kissing the ring of the people who are the Osceola oligarchy, as I like to call them, then you're not going to get that endorsement.
Yeah,
so don't even bother. Don't even bother interviewing with them. It's a waste of everyone's time, even theirs.
When I was running in 2022, I didn't even get a chance to interview with them. You know, they invited me for an interview. Mm-hmm. The day that they scheduled me, it conflicted with my work schedule, and I talked to the person who coordinates that, and I'm not going to say her name on the show, but anyway, and she said, fine, that's fine, we can reschedule. I'll get back to you with a rescheduled date. And I said, okay. So 2 weeks later, I get an email saying, after careful consideration and speaking with both candidates, we decided to endorse the other guy. And right then and there, I knew it was a bunch of BS. And I knew that going into it, but that just, like, cemented that confirmed it for me. It was just like, you know what? Okay. You just can't believe anything from these people. So, all right, John. So finally, all right, the FRA, our Osceola County FRA, our Osceola County Conservative Republican Assembly is under fire. Chapter President Angelica McKinney received this cease and desist letter from the RPOF's lawyers, and you can see it right there, to stop using the Republican name, stop using the elephant logo, stop putting out videos, stop putting out candidate endorsements, stop altogether. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But we knew this was happening. We talked about the War of the Elephants. We didn't know it was going to be taken this far, but it has. Now, chapter presidents for FRA chapters across Florida are receiving this cease and desist letter to stop operation as the Florida Republican Assembly.
I'm really pissed about this. Now, listen, who in their right mind is going to start fighting within the part of killing its own people when they're winning a war, right? It would be like Napoleon turning around and bombing the city of Paris while they're beating everybody else, right? Before Waterloo. It's a ridiculous gesture. There's no purpose. There's no reason. What's the genesis behind this? In my opinion, it's because the FRA kind of endorsed Trump early and whatever, and these maybe the I don't know, maybe the GOP in Tallahassee is against Trump. I'm not sure, but I wish I knew. I wish I could, but I can't explain it myself. So, but I know that I never, if I'm about to run a race, I don't cut my own toes off.
Yeah.
Right? So why would they do that? It makes no sense. And then he's always like on Twitter, he's always defending, oh, well, all they got to do is charter with us. Well, no, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to. If we can't trust your judgment, and if you don't treat the people right, then why would they do that? Why would anybody do that? If my neighbor came to me and he said, hey, I threw a rock through your window, but if you sign your house over to me, I'll fix it. Go to hell. Yeah. What are you talking about? I'm not going to do that. So, I mean, I can't imagine that the FRA is going to do that either. And now I know that people across the state are getting letters telling them that they're not eligible for REC membership and so on and all this stuff. There's no purpose for this. And I really question the wisdom of a move like this right now. I think it's going to backfire.
Well, we know who Evan Power is, and that's him on the screen. We know that he's a lobbyist. We know he works with David Ramba, and we know that he's up to no good. Dude, this is no good for nobody, especially Republicans in the state of Florida, while we have this election, this very crucial election going on, where we see President Trump trying to extend olive branches and trying to build bridges with other Republicans and other conservatives. And we have this cretin trying to burn those bridges with Judeo-Christian conservatives here in Osceola County and across the state of Florida. Why would you do this, Mr. Power? I don't know. I remember when he took over the chairmanship, I sent him a message over X. I congratulated him. I told him I hope he does great things for the party. And obviously, this is not one of the great things. This was not what I imagined he would do. But obviously, this is what he's doing. This is his making. And what can you do? Anyhow.
Yeah, this is a terrible gesture of goodwill, right? This is like the worst kind of gesture of goodwill that you can make. You can't attack your own people in the middle of an election. We're months, we're 100 and something days from the election, and we're only a few weeks from we're only a few weeks from the.
Well, that didn't happen in a while, right?
Oh yeah, so, and we're only a few weeks from the primary election.
Yeah.
So why do this now? Why not do it after the election? Right?
Yeah.
If this is your plan, you want FRA out. Why not do it after the election? Do it on November 6th.
Yeah.
Listen, the election's over. Now that we won, you send a letter on November 6th. Right? A cease and desist. Listen, we got to come, and then you invite everybody to a table and say, we got to talk this out. Why not do that? That's what a leader would have done who really is interested in winning the election, as opposed to a leader who has ulterior motives. You know, and so I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed. I'm pretty disappointed, to be honest with you. I don't know.
You know, I'll just say this: any elected official that has had any help given to them by the Florida Republican Assembly, you need to stand up and you need to be loud and you need to come out and stand against this. You really do. You need to come out, make a video. I don't care how you do it, but just stand up and stand against this, because it's wrong. And I think you all know it is. So,
I think that people. This is what you're creating by doing this, and we'll finish with this for myself at least. You're creating the Erica Booth doctrine, and that is you're going to piss off a whole bunch of Republicans, and then they're going to start protest voting who they don't like. Right? Instead of being like one team, okay, fine, that wasn't my guy, but I'm going to support the winner of the Republican primary. What you're doing is creating liabilities for Republicans throughout the state, because you're going to create the Erica Booth doctrine, where Erica Booth came here, the Republican Party forced her down the throats of conservatives, and they spit her out, and nobody wanted her.
No.
Nobody wanted Erica Booth, and she lost the election, and she turned a red seat blue.
Yeah.
It wasn't that Tom Keene won that seat because he's such a great person or anything. It was Erica Booth lost that seat because she was a terrible person. She was a terrible person and a terrible candidate. She destroyed a good Republican person to win that seat.
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, the entire community rejected her. And that's what we're creating here. That's exactly what they're doing on a large scale. So the Republican Party is doing what Erica Booth did to her own constituents, and they're crapping on their constituents. And now they're positioning all these Republicans, because they still vote, right? These are still voters. And if they're part of the FRA, if they're part of the Florida Republican Assembly, they're voting. They're voting in primaries, and they're going to determine winners, because let's say they change their name. Let's say that they just changed. They say, okay, fine, we're going to change our name. Now we're the Florida Conservative Assembly, right? And we're Florida MAGA assemblies. We're Florida whatever. They're not going to lose their membership. Then what's going to happen? Everybody's going to be, and they're not going to apply it. Then all of a sudden, the rules of the GOP, which is saying, hey, you're using the word Republican, so we're not going to let you in. Well, now that changes that. It doesn't apply anymore. Now they can be members of both, and this organization is going to become more powerful because it's going to take all the conservatives from the GOP. They're all going to become members. Everybody's going to be pissed off, and everybody's going to be fighting against the GOP leadership. Why would you do that weeks and months prior to elections? So, I mean, I don't know. I got to question the wisdom there.
Yeah,
why I don't know why do that.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to hand it over to the Democrats. And they're such a poop show that, I mean, they still won't even win. I mean, NIkki Fried, she can't win. The only thing that NIkki Fried's going to win is a joint rolling contest. Yeah. Other than that, she's unable to win anything.
Absolutely. All right, John, so that's the show.
That's the whole show?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us on another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We appreciate you guys watching. Please like and share the show. We know it's a whole bunch of stuff. Congratulations to all of you who watched the debate and felt that was a big victory for the American people. It was a victory for us as well, and we appreciate it. Thank you, President Trump, for all your hard work, and for Governor DeSantis for all of your hard work in keeping Florida, this free state of Florida. Let's get this done, guys. We are so close to an election. Let's make sure we get out there and vote. On behalf of School Board Member John Arguello, the Patriot and Republican candidate for State Senate 25, and my great friend here, Citizen Tom Lord, we'll see you next week. God bless.